Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography, see how everybody's doing. I like to think of this as a sort of a weekly community meetup and catch up and tell you guys what I've been up to and hear about what you guys been doing. I hope everyone's doing well. You pull up the chat and see who's in here already. We have Darko and Jack Beltane. Good to see you. Wow, 3 a.m., huh? And Anthony is here. Pen F2, yes. Anytime. I would love to get a Pen F2, but I seriously doubt it. Henning looks like. And let's see, from Germany. Okay. And so else we got System Matura, Roger Calametti, David Tellett. Oh, thanks, David. I tried that. David Tellett is local to me. I tried that VF2. It works great. It's awesome. Thank you so much. And I posted an image from that Olympus. David let me borrow his Olympus OM or Stylus 1S. What a terrific camera. I mean, this thing is, gosh, really, this is all you need, right? It has everything. So I'm going to be shooting with this for a little bit too. And so look for those images on my Flickr and Instagram over the next couple of weeks. And let's see, Zoltan, good to see you. John Thomas from the UK and Serge, good to see you. Wow, it's been a while, Serge. Maybe or maybe not, but I feel like you haven't been to a stream in a while for some reason. And let's see. Uh Mickey Stein, Bay Bridge, and Alan Hedge, Marcia. Oh, always good to see you, Marcia. Yeah, David, we were at I started late today because we went to excuse me one second. It's allergy season. I just took my allergy medicine. I forgot to take it this morning. But we went to Green Springs Garden this morning with the photo club, so that's why I'm starting a little later today than usual. Uh, yeah, David Crooks, he's been doing a lot of Sundays lately, so I've missed a few of them. But anyhow, Green Springs Gardens, they had some flowers and stuff. I can show. I actually already posted a few images. Nothing great. I'll share them with you here. Let's see. I need to move that over there and do share screen and pick a window. Okay, so go over here to photos. And looks like I'm the only one that's posted. So I did this flower, whatever that is. And this green heron. I took this with the the Stylus 1S actually. So I thought this came out pretty good. And it's very cloudy out, so we didn't have good lights. This image actually was zoomed all the way out to the 300 millimeter equivalent at f2.8, ISO 1250, and then I processed in DxO, so it cleaned up very nicely. And let's see. Oh, there's a couple of our photo club members. They shoot. She has a Canon R5. This is her husband. He has a Canon R7. And they come out time to time with us in the group. They're really nice couple. And then this is another flower. I was really struggling with this one uh, because I was using the Fuji this morning, and I did not know how to focus bracket with that freaking thing. I pulled it up in the menu, I selected auto, and then it prompted me for point A and point B. So I think I selected point A and point B, but then I didn't know how to start the actual bracketing itself. I would push the shutter button, and then it would just take one picture. And I did that 5 or 6 times, and I gave up. I could not figure out how to use focus bracketing on the Fuji. And then this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the execution of the features on the OM systems, Olympus cameras is just so much smoother and very well executed, and it does a great job because after I bracketed the images, if I was able to get it to work in the Fuji, um, I would have had to bring them into Photoshop and stack them, which I don't mind stacking. It's not a big deal, but it's so nice when the camera will do it for you. And then I just have to do a light edit. It creates a JPEG image, but I just do a light edit to the JPEG and I got a fully stacked, ready to go image. I can even do it straight out of camera if I use one of the art filters like Pop Art 2. Pop Art 2 is really good for flower photography. Um, but I was shooting Fuji today, so I think I was just shooting in regular Provia. Um, I didn't find any of the film simulations really that appealing. Um, so I'd rather just shoot in the standard Provia profile and then edit in post if I'm shooting the Fuji camera. And whereas the Olympus, I'm happy to shoot with one of the art filters guys. I know exactly what I'm going to get. So it's just a matter, I think, more familiarity with OM Systems Olympus cameras that I can get exactly what I want, or they've trained me to like what they do. I don't know. But anyhow, that was one. And let's see, is that the end of it? Oh, and then I did a black and white of these, whatever they are, some leaves. And then this is actually a pano. I stitched three images together very tightly, close together. So it just gave me sort of a 16 by 9 image rather than a 3 by 2 that I would have got. And it's okay. I guess I was testing out some features on a new lens that I got for the Fuji. I'm going to do a review on this lens within the next 2 weeks. I need to go out and shoot with it more. But it's a tilt shift lens for Fuji, but it is available for micro four thirds. But it's a 50 millimeter, so I don't really recommend it for micro four thirds so much unless you're really going to be doing some close-up work because we have to double it out to 100 millimeters. But on the Fuji, it's a 50 millimeter, which is an effective, what, 75? And that's also very limiting when it comes to tilt shift lenses for general purpose. So it's more a 50 millimeter tilt shift lens on APS-C is going to be more like for doing product photography and still life. Um, because it's just the focal length is so tight. Normally, when I want to use a tilt shift, I want a wide angle, like a 28 millimeter or something. I don't like really tight focal lengths for tilt shift. Although there is an application for it in more studio type work where you're working very close to subjects and doing still life, but for going out and photo walks and things, 50 millimeters is tough to deal with on a APS-C and especially micro four thirds. So that's that. And then I applied a black and white filter to it. I didn't spend too much. I rarely spend much time processing images that I upload to the photo club. I usually just do quick, 2 or 3 minute edit and post it. So here's some tulips, and then we're back to the first one. So compositionally, the challenge today was frame within a frame, right? So I didn't get any hard right angle frames in any of my images today, but I did try to frame this flower with the flowers around it. So there's a little pink, and pink around it, and then this yellow around it as well. So it is kind of framing the image using color rather than lines and angles. Uh, that was kind of my goal there. And then let's see. This image here, I use this tree to kind of frame the couple here. Uh, and I got nice separation from the background. Um, And then let's see, this one, nah, this one I didn't do any this is the one I was trying to focus stack, and I failed miserably. And that's not a frame shot, that's not a frame shot, so, yeah, those are the only 2 I have, are those 2. Anyhow, let me stop sharing that. That's what I was up to today. Oh, I didn't get the screen chat in, hold on. Let me get this in real quick. One second, I have to copy this URL over into the okay, that should come up now. Now I can see it. Uh, anyhow, so that's what I did this morning. I have a couple of shots I did this week. Nothing, again, nothing fantastic. I'm not in a zone this week, photographically speaking. Let's see. Anything worth showing here? Not really. I'm not going to bother. It's a picture of my dog. That's about it. um, oh, okay, Jack. I'll check it out. Someone text me or message me about they already bought the lens that I'm testing out, and you know, so maybe that you're one and the same. I'm not sure. A couple of you already got this lens. Apparently, it's where is it? I don't know. It's around here somewhere. But it's a 50 millimeter f1.4 tilt shift for APS-C and Micro Four Thirds. So they have it in Fuji and Nikon and Micro Four Thirds right now. They may have it in Sony too, but so it's okay. I mean, it's not the sharpest lens. It has but I guess that's not the intent at that price. I think it's going to be a little over 200 bucks. So it's going to be very, very affordable tilt shift lens. Because when you look at the tilt shift lenses from like Canon, Nikon, they're thousands of dollars, right? So this is a very, very affordable lens. So you have to take that into account. I have another lens. I got two other lenses I'm testing actually. I think one has not been announced yet, so I really can't say what it is. But the other one is the 56 millimeter f1.7 for it's also for Fuji, actually, for APS-C. They don't make it for Micro Four Thirds. And that lens is actually excellent, and it's going to be cheap, like $139. And it's so good. Like I would tell you to get that lens instead of the Sigma 56 1.4 if you're on APS-C. If you're on Micro Four Thirds, Sigma's the only option right now. But if you need a good portrait lens for your APS-C camera, this is a steal. And there's a lot of things optically about it that I'm going to talk about in the video. Not just the sharpness, but a little bit about the lens element design that they direction that they went in that gives it some very, very unique characteristics that you don't really see in other lenses, even though it's a budget lens for $139. And I think that sometimes budget lenses have more character in them because of this one particular optical property that more expensive lenses usually have that these do not. So the more expensive lenses, you get better sharpness, better corner to corner, less chromatic aberration, all the optical qualities you look for in a lens. The budget lenses don't usually have this because it's expensive, costs more. The cost of production is higher when you do this. And but so the trade-off is you lose some optical performance, but you gain a little bit in character. So which I think in this particular focal length being an ideal portrait lens makes a lot of sense to me. So I'll talk about that lens further in the review, but I just give you a heads up. And let's see. think I saw a question already. Yeah, Darko says, "Good morning. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm feeling better every day. Still waiting for one more test result, which should only confirm what they suspect the problem is, which is a minor thing that can be managed, but uh, it's still a tiny bit of anxiety there until that final test result comes back. But okay, so." Darko says, comment, not that I'm complaining about being self-doubt and that self-doubt and anxiety is coming on as I have a model shoot today. Congratulations. How do you calm your nerves when dealing with certain jobs or shoots? Ooh, okay. For me, it's a little too late because you have the shoot today, but usually I try to make sure I go to bed early so I can get to the shoot early. Nothing makes me more nervous or anxious than getting to a shoot late. So I that takes off probably 80% of the anxiety that I have about a shoot is make sure I get well rested and get there early. Sometimes I try to get there at least a half hour early, if not an hour early, time permitting. So I can kind of just really just, because if I get there early, then I can double check everything. And that's the other thing is I check my camera for memory cards, battery, spare battery. The lenses are clean. I usually clean them before I put them in the bag for a professional shoot or paid shoot. Honestly, I do it for anytime I go out. I make sure my lenses are clean, but I double check that and uh, make sure the batteries in my flashers are charged, that I have all the cables I need. So I just make sure I have everything, all my tripods, monopods, stands, whatever I need, ready to go. And I pack as much in the car as I can, save for the camera itself. I don't like to leave that in the car overnight, but uh, I make sure everything is prepared. And all of the settings in the camera are set to what I'm going to be using. So I'm at a point now where I have the custom settings saved to my phone. So I load those from the phone into the camera, so I have a fresh start with the exact settings I need for the job. For a model shoot, it might be a little different. You might have to make the settings on site, but do as much as you can before the shoot. And then when you get there early, you can double check everything, right? That relieves a lot of anxiety is prepping, right? Is the getting good rest and prepping. And then on the way there, I like to listen to you know, dance music, right? I know I'm weird, but I like to listen to dance music, kind of get me upbeat and in the mood for the shoot. And and then when I'm on site, I think about who am I going to meet, the nicest people I ever met on a job from the past, who I'm going to meet, and then I'll start shooting. And while I'm shooting, because I've prepped all of the settings and everything, uh, I'm pretty confident everything's going to go well. If it's something I haven't done in a while, I may practice before I leave the house the settings that I'm going to be using, right? Just so I can kind of get back so that when I get on site, I'm not like testing again, right? Or practicing on site. I'm at a point now I don't really have to practice before I leave. I just make sure I got the right settings, and then everything is very routine from there. Most of the work on a photo job is done before you leave, and you already have everything you want to do. All the planning and everything, the kind of shots you're going to take are already done in your mind. Uh, and then when you get on the site, you just execute what you've already planned out. So that's the easiest way to get of anxiety is just make it so routine and be very well prepared and well rested, listen to some good music, and it should be fine. So that's what I do. And then one more thing. Always after I'm done for the shoot, I treat myself to fast food. So it might be like a snow cone from McDonald's or maybe lunch altogether from somewhere. I don't like McDonald's lunch too much. I do like their snow cones, their vanilla cones though. But um, if they don't have it, I like the Chick-fil-A vanilla cones the best. And but they're not quite as many of them around as a McDonald's. Or I'll treat myself to Taco Bell, some kind of junk food like after the shoot. So I got something to look forward to after the shoot. So I'm kind of, you know, happy before I get there, listening to good music. I'm happy during the shoot, and then because I'm prepared, and then I'm looking forward to when the shoot is over to some kind of treat. Um, And, just have confidence. Don't doubt yourself, right? Like you were saying here. Just have confidence in your skills. Think about the photos that you've taken that have been amazing and know that you're a good photographer. Uh, and the only thing you need to do is make sure you've planned and prepared everything. Okay, I hope that helped. Um, and let's see, I think I see another question. Oh, bracketing is on the left dial on the Fuji one. Yeah, I'll have to look. I have the I have this XH2. I mean, it's my fault. I I should have I should have, read the manual or something to figure it out before I left because it's probably something very simple, right? Instead of pushing the shutter button, I pushed the OK button. But that didn't work either when I tried it. So I'm doing something wrong in the workflow for the bracketing, and I need to figure that out. Uh I mean, I really like the camera. It takes nice pictures, and I love that top plate LCD, and the images I get from it are very nice, but it's very frustrating when I can't just, I just didn't take the time to read the manual and learn it. So I'm not blaming the camera, it's my fault, but uh and let's see. And hi Klaus, good to see you. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. And David Hill, good to see you. And Zoltan, I think this is a question. Hi, Robin. Hi, everyone. Is the Stylus One camera body made of metal or plastic? It looks really nice. It's metal. The top plate, the hump here for the flash is plastic, but this is my test for metal. If it feels cold, it's metal. So I know the top plate's all metal. The side is plastic. The front is plastic. And yeah, this is always plastic in the back. So it feels like it's it has a top metal plate at the very least. It probably has a metal shell inside just covered with plastic. And this has a really nice leather case on it. So I don't know if the bottom plate is metal or not. But it has really nice little metal buttons here. Not the D-pad. The D-pad is plastic. But these buttons, the play, the menu buttons, the function buttons are metal. Nice metal button up here, metal dials. Uh, Another metal button here. And then, of course, this beautiful lens. This is, oh, it's not labeled here. I think if I think this is a 28 to 300 equivalent. F2.8 constant. It's 2.8 all the way out to 300 millimeters. So this is such a fantastic camera. Uh, Nobody buy one until I get mine off eBay because I don't want the price to get jacked up. They're already kind of expensive. Now this comes in two versions. There's an Olympus One and an Olympus sorry. Olympus One and Olympus One S. The One S has the bigger battery that you can use with the EM5 Mark III, for example, EM10 Mark II. So I can use the same batteries, which is a big, big bonus, right? So it's worth it to get the 1S just for that. Otherwise, I think it's just a firmware update between the 1 and the 1S, which you can download for the Olympus One. You can download the firmware and it'll turn it into a 1S. I think safe for the battery difference. This has a larger battery, but optically, mechanically, and feature-wise, they're identical with the firmware update. And Klaus says all-in-one firmware 1.6 showed 2 blackouts with the Zuiko 12 to 42 2 days ago. With everything okay after on off, has anyone the same issue? I haven't updated yet. I'm waiting. I'm waiting a bit. I need to take some time before I update it, because I want to test the camera's autofocus a little bit before I update it, and then do the same test again after it's updated, and then see if there's any difference I can quantify. Because people are debating, people are say, excuse me, people are saying that they're seeing improvements in autofocus. Others are saying nothing, right? So I don't know. I want to see if I can quantify that a little bit rather than, touchy feely, like, yeah, it's better. But that could all be right here, right? You know? But if I can quantify it somehow, I will. And Zoltan says the Olympus 1S is beautiful and retro looking, great walk around camera. Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. And it's got a 1 over 1.7-inch sensor, I believe. So it's a large sensor, compact. I mean, not large like Micro Four Thirds large, but larger than the 1 over 2.3 sensors. So you get just a tiny bit more image quality out of it. And the lens on that is amazing. The lens is so good. And you combine that with Photolab 7, the DxO optics module, you get really, really crisp images. And if you throw in denoise on top of that, it's, I think, yeah, it it's as good as any camera out there, if you ask me. And I just bought the 60mm f2.8 macro, so sharp and easy to use in the field. Very impressed so far. Have you used it? I have not used it. I get tempted to buy it every now and then, but I'm just not a macro guy. I'm content using the 40 to 150 kit lens with one extension tube, and that gets me close enough. I don't need 1 to 1 or 2 to 1 or what, it's 1 to 1 with the 60, but you can make it 2 to 1 with some Raynox adapters and maybe even add not a tele converter, I'm sorry, an extension tube. But that said, I did borrow David's again last week or 2 weeks ago, and it is pretty amazing lens. It's so sharp and it's fast. You can get really close. But I'd have to spend like 300 some dollars to get a used one. I'm just not ready yet. I think I'd rather, if I'm going to spend 300 bucks, I'd rather have the 15mm f1.7. And Sister says, got the new OM5, which shut down when I was doing connection with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to the iPhone. Locked me out completely. OM system replaced with another new OM5. Oh my goodness. Tell you, cameras today, they're so finicky, because I'm going over to the Fuji and the Sony forums and things, and I'm hearing similar things, just glitches. I still have a glitch in my Sony camera where every time I pick up that thing, the battery's dead. Now, supposedly, and I updated the firmware about 2 weeks ago, supposedly this new firmware was supposed to fix the battery draining problem, which the problem was is that the camera wasn't really turning off, even though you turned the switch off. uh, but I still feel like every time I pick that thing up, the battery's dead. So, and I have the Sony original battery, so I don't know. And I have some generic ones too. It doesn't matter what I put in there. Every time I pick, not in the same, in one day, I'm good, you know. But like if I leave the camera on the shelf for a couple of days and I pick it up, the battery is dead. I'm like, why? Why? Oof. When I used to do Civil War portrait at Balls in Gettysburg, I would be at the venue 2 to 3 hours before the stated times. It made me feel better to be there with plenty of time. Yes. Yeah, nothing makes you more anxious than being late, right? Um, how do you load your settings from your phone on your Olympus camera? You need to use the I think it's called OI Share or OM Share app. There's an app on the phone. Let's see what it's called exactly. OI Share. This app here. Um, hello. Well, good old EM10 Mark II is not going to focus on that, but it's the OI Share app. And there's a feature in there. I'm sorry. Maybe you have the OI Share app and you're not asking me about the app. You're asking me how do you do it. Uh, so what you do is you there's a little wrench or cog. I have to make this focus. Hold on. Maybe if I touch the focus. There. So this little cog menu right here, you click on that. Okay. And then you'll see camera management, and then you'll see camera settings, and then you have all your custom settings here. So you have to load the settings onto the phone first. So you set up your camera, you load them onto the phone, and then at any time you can load them back onto your camera. So I won't get into all the steps involved there, but that's the basic workflow. Is you set all the settings on the camera, then you go into the camera management, camera settings, and upload them into the phone. And then anytime you want to use those settings again, you put them back on your camera. And Zoltan says it's constant 2.8. Yes, it is constant across the entire focal range. 2.8. It's awesome. And need advice, please. Just bought the EM1 Mark II. Is it correct that there's no lens profiles in Lightroom for this? No, that's not true. On my OM5, everything is identified perfectly, tested with the Zuiko 12 to 40 Pro. No, they should all be there. The lens profiles with the EM1 Mark II, because I used to use the EM1 Mark II all the time, personally and professionally, and I had no problems with Lightroom. Uh, so that is incorrect. You will be just fine. And let's see. Hello, Alan. Good to see you. Alan Winsky, I'm sorry. And Jeff Painter's in the house. Hi, Jeff. And let's see. And then Roger, I think this is a question. It says, Rob, would like to shoot enough photos to do a photo book on a theme, thinking a tight subject like a specific letter or lock and keys, railroad terms, something narrow versus wide subject. What you say? Um, you go for it. It's yours, right? It's going to be your book. You decide what you want to share with everyone. Uh, and I guess ultimately, when somebody looks at your book, right, and your images as a whole, you don't want to have to explain like what they just saw, right? If they look at a picture and they have no idea what they're looking at, and assuming they're a reasonable person, right? Uh, then I would say there's a problem. So that's for the individual image. Now, if they go through your entire book as a whole and can't figure out what the theme was, then you need to rethink what the subject is. If the subject is too broad and pulling people in different directions too much, um, or when they put the book down, they know exactly the feeling or mood that they got from that book is the goal you're going for. So, like I said, if you're just going for a mood or feeling, it doesn't matter what the subject is, long as each image projects that mood or conveys that mood and feeling to the viewer, right? So it could be a picture of people, it could be a picture of an airplane, whatever. They could be completely different subjects, but if you're trying to convey a mood or a feeling, it's okay, right? So think about what it is you're trying to convey and what you want the person to get from the book when they're done. I don't think it matters how broad the subject is, the individual subject in the book is, if your goal is for projecting something other than the subject itself. But if you want to project or share a story about a particular subject, like I think you said, lock and keys, right, or railroad items, that kind of makes sense, right? Um, then every picture should be related to that. So when they put the book down, they said this is a terrific book about lock and keys or things around the railroad. I never knew these things existed, or these are things that aren't used anymore. But yeah, so just go crazy, and then think about the order of the images that you're going to use in the book. Think about the if you're going to add any narration to the images, right? Because that's also not uh, not a problem if you want to add narration next to each image. You want to talk about how you captured the image, or um, maybe a little background on what this image is, because maybe it's not obvious. Because there's a lot of times I'll look at something and obviously it's some very intricate piece of machinery or tooling, but I don't know what it's for or what it was used for. So I might, so I'll read the narration about what that is, and think about like when you go to parks and things, national parks, and they have these little plaques saying, this rock here is the site of where, you know, this person did this, right? And this rock is a monument to that event or person. Some narration like that would be fine. Okay. But yeah, if you're going for a tight individual subject, I would go, it's okay. You don't, it just depends. But I've never published a photo book myself, so I'm really not the right person to ask. But that's how I would approach it when I think about trying to share. If I were to create a book and want to share something. Speaking of camera buttons, the blue logo on the playback button on my 11th-month-old OM1 keeps erasing. I've had it in for repair once and will be sending it again. Have you heard of this? I have not heard of this. So you push the play button and it goes to erase the image. I assume you mean erasing the image. No, I've not had any troubles. My OM1 has been, ever since firmware 1.5, has been rock solid. That's the second reason I'm a little hesitant to upgrade to 1.6, because if everything is working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Uh, Says I trust the Olympus JPEGs 100%. Yes. Uh, and then Sister says, same issue with my Sony A1 where batteries go flat if I leave the camera for a week or so. Yeah, that's just weird to me because, I left my, well, just about any other camera I can leave sitting for a while. I know my Pen F sometimes will sit for a few days and I'll pick it up and it's right where I'd left off in terms of battery. If it's a full battery, it's still full, you know? I don't I don't understand that with the Sonys. Hey, Marco's in the house. Hey, Marco, how are you? Good to see you. Um, okay, so I don't see another. If I missed your question, just type it again. I can't do this like Robin Wong where he can answer and he can respond and answer to every single comment. I just don't know how he does it. My God, it's amazing. So, all right, let me drink a little more coffee, and then what do I have today? I have an Emery mug. I think that's a college. I didn't buy this mug, I got it free. My life is all about getting free stuff when I can. I tell you, man. Now my house looks like a yard sale. It's just everything is for sale here. Because nothing, I don't have too many things that I've bought first, brand new or first hand. Like, I mean, my Olympus cameras, I pretty much bought all those brand new when they came out. Um, but the Fuji I bought secondhand. The Sony I got for a secondhand price, even though I bought it brand new. And anyway, yeah, I buy everything secondhand when I can, or if it's gifted to me. Okay, I'm good to see you too. You're looking healthy lately. Oh, yeah, I am feeling better, Marco. You know how it is. Your brain, when you don't know what the problem is, and you look it up online, every time you look up your symptoms online, it's like cancer, they always go to cancer. So, so your mind just starts going crazy. So I'm at a point now where it's like 99.9%. It's not something like that. It's something I can manage. And uh, I'm just waiting for one more test to be sure, right? That there's not something in addition to uh, this other issue that I have. This other issue can be managed though, and over time, it should be fine. But I might get some. I might time to time get a little fatigued and not feeling that great, but it's nothing serious. Just getting old, basically. Ugh. It's like Bruce Lee says, right? Nothing that proper diet and exercise can't cure. Okay. Uh, my earlier post about the playback button, I meant my logo is slow. Oh, the logo is slowly disappearing off. The blue arrow is disappearing from use. I see. Oh, I never paid attention to that. Let's see. I think mine looks perfectly fine, but I don't push the play button too much because I have it on autoplay. So when I take a picture of it automatically shows up and stays on until I press the shutter button again. Except when I'm doing birds in flight. When I'm doing birds in flight, I turn the autoplay off. Yeah, my play button is perfectly fine. So come on, you can do it. There it is. Yeah, it looks good. And I've had my camera for just over 2 years now. And I just got this scratch last week or a couple weeks ago. Oh, this is something that bothers me about, or maybe it was this scratch. I got a new scratch on it. It's either no, that's been there. That's been there because I used to use metal clips for hang anyway. Uh, but other than that, this thing is looking good, right? No issues at all. It's still got this 7 to 14 lens on here because I was doing a photo. Man, I finally got a photo job. It's been since October since I had a freaking photo job. So I had a photo job yesterday, or it was Thursday. I had a photo job. So I haven't used this camera since Thursday. I usually whip out my other cameras. I use this mainly 99.9% of the time for work, or if I go birding. Uh, anyhow, um, no, I did use it the other day for birding, But then I took the 300 millimeter lens and put it back in my dry cabinet because that lens is awesome. I want that lens to last forever. Okay, so and then David Allen says, I have the same issue with the label on the play button wearing off. I believe someone from OM Systems said that it happens because of lower quality ink they used in producing the OM1. Wow. This is the first I've heard of this problem. So when it comes up again, I'll say, okay, you're not alone. You know, this is happening. It hasn't happened to me, but uh, for the Mark II, they use better ink. Okay. So another reason to buy the Mark II, right? Better ink on the buttons. And pretend you are shooting film, put the OMEVF in the OVF mode, and you do not press the playback button. True. You could. And then George says, do you have or would consider creating a vehicle via which your viewers could share their galleries, i.e. Flickr, with each other for feedback and collaboration? I do have I have a forum, but I don't maintain it anymore, and I'm not taking any more new people into it because there's no activity on it. There is one person that posts one time to time, but I found that I just don't have the time or the energy to do much more than YouTube and post a few things to Flickr and Instagram. I do have a Flickr community. Oh, okay, I do have this. I'll post a link. A lot of people post in here. I have a Rob Trek community group. Um, Gosh, I haven't been there in a couple of weeks, but I do like to drop in there sometimes. It's it's this one. So Rob Trek community right here. And it's not terribly active other than people are posting photos pretty regular. So the way this works is, wow, there's 5,000 photos in here. The way this works is you have to have a Flickr account. It's free. I think you can post up to 1,000 images on your own Flickr account, and then you share it with the Rob Trek community, and then it'll show up here. And this is where people can kind of go in and if they want to just leave comments and likes and whatever. So that's the best way to do it. So I will give this link in the chat. So that's the only thing I have. It's very low maintenance for me because all I have to do is just check it out every now and then, hit a few likes here and there for some of the images, maybe look for some inspiration, see what you guys are doing. Um, but when I had the forum, I used to have the Rob Trek forum. It was so overwhelmed with spam and robots and things that it just made it unusable for me as an administrator of a forum to manage. I mean, I'd have to go in there and spend time every day if it would be ideal to go in and clean out the spam and crap. So the Flickr community is all automated. And I don't have to do any of that. All I have to do is enjoy and participate, just like any of you would, right? I don't have to actually manage it. So that's the way to do it. Um, what are the images like from the 7 to 14 lens? They're great. I mean, the lens is very, very sharp. The only problem I have with that lens is if I have any hard sources of light in front of the lens, like the sun is like the worst case scenario. I don't ever want the sun to get into the frame because it creates very, very harsh purple flaring that's extremely hard to get rid of in post-processing. Or it's very time consuming. May not be technically difficult, right? But it's not just simply sliding a slider. You have to go in and brush and heal and cut and paste, it's not easy. So I have to work around it with flaring. And that's going to be true of almost any super wide angle lens where if you have direct sunlight coming into the lens, you have to be very conscious of where the flaring is happening because it's very difficult to get rid of. But it's very, very distinct on the 7 to 14 Panasonic. I get a very strong purple blob on the images in certain situations. So uh, the other day when I took it out for the photo job, and that's really the only time I use that lens, is it was partly cloudy, so I didn't have any issues with flaring at all because I didn't have any hard small points of light. But even like, you get the little in office because I do a lot of commercial property, all the little lights in the ceilings, the spotlights, right? They can be very, very bright sometimes, like in the hallways and other places that they would use spotlights. I have to be careful I don't get purple flares off of the spotlight. And the purple flares aren't like right around the lights. The purple flares are like spread out all over the image somewhere. So I have to be very conscious. I'd show you an example, but I usually delete all of those. So I don't think I have any examples of that. But yeah, it's a problem. And I have to work around it and be conscious of it. Because in the beginning, when I started using that lens, I had images that I couldn't give to the client because it was just too hard to correct the purple flaring. And if I'm doing any video, and I use that lens for video, fortunately, I'm moving around constantly, so the flaring is only in the frame for a couple of frames, and I can delete those very easily in post-processing. I just delete the entire frame. I don't have to keep, but I can keep the video going. So it's not as big a deal in video as you might think, because in video, you can't really do corrections like that, right? Where the flaring is moving around, you're not going to go frame to frame to frame and try and correct that. But in video, it's only in the frame for a couple of seconds, if not even 1 second usually, because I'm panning and moving constantly. And if it does stay in the frame for more than 2 or 3 seconds, then I don't have to use that clip because I take more clips than I need. Usually I take 5-10 minute clips at a time on a photo job, and then I gather 30-40 minutes of clips, and then I use those and I edit that down to a 2-minute video to deliver to the client. So, it's like a 20-to-1 ratio. I got 20 minutes of video for every 1 minute that I use. So it's easy to, and I know that sounds like overkill, but and this is where, I can't plan, right? Because when I go to a site, I don't know what the property is going to look like. I don't know how big it is sometimes. I don't know how many floors, sometimes I don't have a lot of information. They just give me an address. I Google it to see if I can see a Google Street View to see how big the building is, how many floors, et cetera, the overall size. Um, because I need to price it too, right? If it's a big property, I'm going to charge more. But if it's like within, I don't know, 5 or 10,000 square feet, I usually don't charge too much more or less, depending how much, depending how much it is. Because let's say it's a 10,000 square foot property, I'll charge one price. And then I got another property. I did one that was like, 40,000 square feet. Believe it or not, I charge more for the 10,000 square foot space because the 10,000 square foot space had a lot more photos, right? They had cubicles and conference rooms. They had like 5 or 6 conference rooms, and they had this I wouldn't call it a conference room. What do you call it? It's just a big room where they do lectures, right? And they had and then they had a gym, and then they had common areas in the building itself. That was a lot of effing work, so I charge more. Now the 40,000 square foot space was just a warehouse. I did 5 or 6 shots inside, right, because it was open, and then I did another 5 or 6 shots outside. So I delivered probably 10, maybe, a dozen pictures to the client for that property because it was just a box, you know? Uh, so I didn't have to charge much for that. But so I can't go by square footage all the time. I have to go by, how much work it's gonna be when I get on site. And that's why I don't like doing residential properties. Because residential properties, oh my god, you can get a little 2,000 square foot townhouse and, you got 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, entertainment room, the kitchen counter, all of the frickin', what do you call those things? Appliances, because they want details, and, the half bathrooms, the closets, and then you go outside, you got the front, the back, the corners, you got the community itself, right? The playgrounds, the community center. It's like, "Oh god, please, 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 please." I do the residentials every now and then because even though the brokers are primarily the commercial brokers, they once in a while, they'll get a residential. They don't like them either, but once in a while, they'll get a residential. It'll be a friend or a family member, you know, and those are the residentials I usually get. But anyhow, I don't know why I'm talking about that. The 7 to 14 is a great lens, very sharp. Just be conscious of the purple blobs every now and then. The Olympus 7 to 14 doesn't quite have that issue. You still have to worry about flaring, but not to the level of the 7 to 14 from Panasonic. So that's why I was thinking about switching to the 8 to 25, but that's like six or I don't know, it was expensive and it's a big lens. This little Panasonic, this is very small f4, it's not very big. So I ended up just keeping this. I did try the 8 millimeter fisheye lens for a while, but I got tired of doing the post corrections. I know it's just one click, but when you're dealing with 300 images, because I have to recompose the shots a lot of times. I can't take them as is, as shot, right? I have to straighten angles and lines and stuff. Um, my goodness, Lauren, how are you, Lauren? I haven't seen you in a chat in a long time. I know you email me all the time, and I love your images, by the way, but I don't see you in the chat very often. It says get the GX9 and Leica 15 if you want to hit the streets with MFT. It's pretty awesome. I'm also having good results with the Z5 and 40 millimeter f2. I'm not a big fan of that 40 millimeter f2. I don't know why. Everybody seems to love that lens, but I tried it on a Nikon ZF, right? I was not impressed with that lens at all. Uh, maybe it was a bad copy, but I was not impressed. And yeah, the Z5, yeah, it's a nice little camera. I remember when I was shopping for that camera earlier when it first came out, there was something about it that I said, "I'm not gonna buy this camera," because there was something about it that was a deal breaker. Uh, because just being full frame and cheap is not enough for me. It has to have certain things that I wanna do. I can't remember what it was. It might have had to do something with time lapse, or it was something that I said, "I'm not gonna be able to use this camera professionally if I ever decide to use it on a photo job." There was something in it that I could not do. I can't remember what it is now. But ever since then, it has been out of sight, out of mind. I don't even think about that camera anymore. Um, now the Z7 does not have this issue. It is able to do whatever it is the Z5 could not, and I think the Z6 will do it too. But I just have no reason to buy Nikon at this point. I think about it time to time, but I don't see any reason to buy one. I mean, I have the A7R5 if I want to use a full frame, which it's not very often, but I have that. Then I have this Fuji X-H2, 5 APS-C and full frame covered. So what is Nikon going to offer me Um, and I couldn't think of anything. And when I've used the Z7 a couple times, and it's a fine camera, but it doesn't offer me anything over what I already have, unfortunately. Even the user experience is not that different, right? It's not that different than any of my other cameras. So I don't know. I mean, I now the Z8, the Z9 is just a monster. I'm never gonna get that, but the Z8 is very, very interesting to me. I know it's a big camera, but it is a very interesting camera to me. I like the ergonomics of that camera. It's not too dissimilar from the Panasonic S1R. So, if I had to buy one today, I would buy the S1R, right? Because it's so much cheaper now than a Z8. But since I'm not in a hurry to get either one, if I wait a little bit, maybe the Z8 will come down enough in price, on the used market, that it might entice me to get the Z8, and then I might get into the Nikon system. But as it is, definitely the Z5 doesn't interest me at all. The Z6, not at all. The Z7, the Mark I, does interest me a little bit because I can get that super cheap, like $1,000, right? For a Nikon Z7, and image quality is the same all the way up to the Z8. There's not much difference between a Z7 and a Z8. Nothing a little editing couldn't fix, right? Um, because the thing about cameras is it's not so much the sensor, right? It's about the lenses. And Nikon has some excellent lenses. I don't think the 40f2 should be one of those lenses you get, but uh, I only have about 10 minutes experience with that f2, and after that 10 minutes, I was thoroughly unimpressed. But their 51.8 is incredible, amazing lens. Um, their 24 to 70 f2.8, man, that thing is terrific. So they have a lot of great lenses in their system, but they're expensive relative to what I can do on a Panasonic S1R. The S1R, the L mount system is the best value when it comes to lenses because you're going to get some awesome quality lenses at a relatively reasonable price relative to all the other competition in full frame. And the S1R is an amazing camera. It has everything. I know it's contrast detect and the autofocus isn't great. It's not a sports action camera, but it's definitely point and shoot. You point at something, it'll focus on whatever you point at. But if that thing moves or has an eye, it's not going to focus on that so well. But everything else is perfectly fine. Like I do. Like I was saying in Emily's stream the other day, I really like doing architectural type photography. That's kind of my preferred genre. And for that and landscape, the S1R with an L mount lens, you will not find a better value in the entire camera industry, in my opinion, right? I think that is going to give you the ultimate image quality. 40 some megapixels sensor with an L mount like Panasonic f1.8 Prime. I my mouth just waters when I think about it. The f1.8 lenses, the 85, the 50, the 20, 35. Now they got the 100 millimeter macro, compact, cheap. It's like there's very little not to like about the L mount system in terms of its lenses. It's just a matter of finding the right camera body. You can get the S5, S5 II, the old S1. You can get the Leica SLs. There's so many choices. Let me rephrase that. There are some good choices in the system for camera bodies, but out of all of them, the S1R is the most appealing to me, and not the SL. The new SL3 is amazing. That looks really good, but it's so out of my price bracket. It's not even funny. Uh, I would love to get an SL3, but S1R is definitely on my short list. I still shop that thing every week. Every now and then my brain will just drift. I'll have like a few minutes. I'm like, let's see if I can find an S1R for like $1,000. Not yet, but man, if I see an S1R for $1,000 that's in reasonable condition, I'm back in the L mount system like that, you know, because I think it's just a great system. Now the GX9 that Lawrence is talking about here, they want $1,000 for that freaking camera, or $900. I ain't paying that for a GX9. It's an amazing camera. I love that camera, right? Nice little rangefinder style, relatively compact and small, uh, and a lot of great features. 20 megapixel sensor. I think it's great, but I ain't paying $1,000 for a GX9. Let me look right now. Lumix Lumix GX9. All right, $834, $950. Well, that's with the lens. So, 834. I ain't paying that. I'm just not doing it. I ain't paying 800. I would pay 400, but for $800, I'd rather get another Pen F. You know, I got two Pen Fs. I'd rather have a third Pen F than pay 800 some dollars for a GX9. Let me tell you. Because for a little more, I can get an S1R. You know, uh, but yeah, I agree. GX9 with a 15 Leica, awesome combination if you already have it. You will never be unhappy with that combination. But when as a secondhand buyer, man, I ain't paying $800 for no, with tax and all, it's gonna be $900. And then I gotta get the lens. It's like I'd rather buy another Pen F because Pen Fs are going for 900 to $1,100. Yeah, it's going for more, but I think it's a better camera in the end anyway. Okay. Said, if you own the Ollie 8 to 25, would that be yes, that would definitely be my primary. I think I mentioned that earlier. I would switch over to the 8 to 25. Uh, but it's a little pricey. So, and I probably wouldn't use it for anything else, right? So, as a business, I would not buy that. It just doesn't make sense for me to buy that because I don't make that much money on the side anymore. Like I said, I haven't had a freaking job since October, and this one job wouldn't pay for that lens. Well, it might. No, it wouldn't pay for this lens, but it would take. It depends on the job. It could be one job. It could be two or three jobs to pay for that lens, and and in the end, all I'm getting is less flare, really. And I've been able to manage that pretty well with the 7 to 14 that I have. Maybe Robin uses stronger coffee. Maybe. So now Flickr says my sign-in credentials are invalid. Oh, keep trying, George. It's got to work. I mean, it's just a Flickr thing. There's so many people in there. So you take complexity of the property into account when determining charge. That makes a lot of sense. Yes, absolutely. I mean, if that's why I don't like to do residential, because residential properties are so competitive here. There are photographers out there that'll do it for nothing. I mean, they'll charge like $200 to do a property. I ain't doing that. Okay, not a residential. God no. Um, I got an offer. I got an offer for like 1,100 square foot property, vacant. So very simple job. I said, okay, 250. Right? They turned me down because I was too expensive. I was like, okay, it's okay. You know, I, you know, it's not worth it for me to do a residential property for even $250, but because they were a brand new client, potential brand, they never called me back. They were potentially a brand new client. I quoted them 250, which is kind of low for me, but I was like, okay, I just kind of hook them in. And then when they get a decent sized property from me, because they too were also primarily commercial real estate broker. They were not residential brokers, but they had a residential property and reached out to me. And even like an 1,100 square foot residential property, I'm still gonna deliver like 20 to 25 images. It's not worth it. 10 bucks an image plus my driving time and editing time because I have a certain level of quality that I deliver that I'm not gonna deliver less than that. Because yeah, I could go in and do almost any size property in about 30 minutes if I didn't care about the quality of my work. Just get the lines straight, do HDR bracketing, one and done, you know? But I'm not delivering that. I use Flash, I compose the shots, I clean the property sometime, not like clean, clean, but I arrange furniture sometimes. There was one time I had to clean and I charged a lot more for that job. Man, it wasn't like cleaning bathrooms, it was a commercial property, but they had dumped all their cubicles. They tore apart all the cubicles and just dumped them on the floor. I'm like, I cannot take a picture of this property with cubicles just laying around all over the floor, in pieces. So I sat there for about an hour, moving all that shit to one side of the room, taking pictures, then moving it back to the other side, take pictures of that side. Oh, that pissed me off. I hate that when I go to a property. Um, I mean, half the time I just leave it where it is and do my best to work around it. Like there was this one property uh, where I would say one third of it was total crap. They were like storage rooms or stuff they threw in there. They were just junk. I didn't even bother taking pictures of those rooms. I just took pictures of the other two-thirds of the property and delivered those. And I said, there's no point to show, you're never going to show those pictures to a client. Why would I take pictures of it for you? I said, I can. I'll take one picture of that room, but I'm not, I didn't even bother. I took pictures of the room and of two-thirds of the property. Then I got home and I called them and I told the broker, I said, I didn't bother to take pictures of about one third of the space. I said, I can go back and do them for you, just simple shots. I'm not going to do anything hardcore. But, I thought you're not going to use those. And the broker says, yeah, that's perfectly fine. We wouldn't have used those pictures anyway. Right. I was like, okay, good. Save me some time of even bothering to take those pictures. Oh, but yeah, what I was saying is residential property is so competitive in this area. I don't know what other agents or photographers are charging, but if I can't get a job for 250 bucks, that means somebody's charging less. Because the people that call, I only do by referral. I don't do any advertising. So if somebody calls me, they've seen what I do, or at least heard about the work that I do. And if they can't give me at least 250, I'm not doing it. And that's why I never get residential properties because I definitely don't advertise residential. And because I remember it was about 3 years ago, somebody called me about a high-end residential property, and I quoted, I think I quoted like 800 bucks. And this was about 3 years ago, just before whatever the pandemic. Um, that was too much. That was too much. This was like a $2 million property. They didn't want to spend $800. I was like, okay, because if it's a $2 million property, we're talking about 40 some images, maybe 50 images, right? Plus floor plans, plus uh area, not drone shots, but high-end shots, property shots. You can't just do two or three exteriors on a $2 million property. You have to do several, right? And not even talking about a 360 tour and all of that, because I've done those. But yeah, 800 bucks, and they were like, "Nah," never heard from them again. So I can't get a job in residential for whatever reason. Either I'm too expensive, which is most likely the reason. because I know this. I know this local company is they're sort of a mill shop, they hire photographers like $16 an hour to go out and do these photo shoots of properties, and they only charge the clients 100, $200, you know. Um, and they own a pretty good chunk of the market. They go to the real estate conventions where the agents come together annually. They do all kinds of marketing on top of that, so they get a lot of the business, which is fine by me, man. You guys sweat it out in the residential market. I'll take the occasional commercial property. I can do 4,000 to 10,000 square feet in about an hour, which includes video on site. Maybe spend another couple hours, editing video and photos, and I'm done. Include driving time, 4 to 6 hours total, right? So half a day, half a day. Um, okay, so anyone here use rangefinder cameras? I've been out taking images with. Oh, I'm not familiar with the Zorky 4K. It sounds familiar. I only have one rangefinder camera, which actually David Tella gave me, and it's awesome. I forget what the name of it. But yeah, rangefinders are nice. I like lining up the little boxes inside. Where is it? I should have it right here. Oh, no, it's in my dry cabinet. Oh crap, it's buried. It's buried in my dry cabinet, but uh gosh, what was that? It was called a I can't remember what it's called. Beautiful camera though. Beautiful camera, takes amazing images. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And so I have the Olympus 7 to 14 and haven't seen much purple fringing with flares and only minimal flaring. But I also tend to avoid shooting into light, particularly the sun. Yeah. I see it because I'm always shooting with flash. So I have to be very conscious of when I use flash, the flaring there. And if you do commercial properties, there's very strong spotlights a lot of times in the buildings, and that can cause flaring. And then, of course, sunlight. But yeah, otherwise, it's easy enough to work around. I don't run into it too often. Like the job I did Thursday, I had I had one image that had a tiny bit of flaring in it, no more than any other super wide angle lens will give you. But I didn't have, I took 150 images and none of them had flaring. And I didn't have to worry because it was partly cloudy out, and it was a laundromat, so they use regular fluorescent lighting, and those are kind of dim, relatively speaking. It's the office buildings that have these really bright, sometimes like halogen spotlights, for their artwork and all this other crap, you know. That's when I have to be very, very conscious. I'm gonna pull up. I'm not gonna make you guys wait for me to find it, but I'm gonna pull it up and let Lightroom, because I use Lightroom for my commercial stuff. If it passed the Rob test, it's rugged. That's right. I've been very good about not dropping my OM1. Oh, that reminds me. Why do all these YouTubers take the rear lens cap off and then find concrete somewhere to put their lens and just set it down on the concrete like this? Why? Why do they I just saw a video by Robin Wong. I could have sworn there were no lens caps on the bottom of his lenses, and he had the lenses sitting on some concrete wall. Oh my God, Robin, why? Why? I could be wrong. Maybe I didn't, my eyes aren't that great anyway. But it's not just Robin. I don't see him do it very often, but once in a while, I'll see that. But everybody else, like that guy Kai, all right, all the time, putting his lenses down on the sidewalk or on some brick wall or stone wall with no lens cap on the back. What's wrong? Or even if it's just their camera. You know, I got a base plate on mine, full body, right? Base plate on mine. I don't care if I put that down. I try not to, but I would never put, you know, here's my OM1. Thank you again, Marco, for this base plate. Marco gave me this base plate as a gift. But uh, I would never put my OM1 down on concrete or brick or whatever. Why do people do that? Let's see. And flares are exactly what I'm looking at for my Siru B. Oh, no, you don't want this kind of flaring. If you're looking for like the cinematic type flare, that's totally different than the flaring I'm getting off this frickin' lens. I'm gonna find it. I haven't I haven't had too many flare issues in a while because I've gotten good at avoiding it, but uh yeah. This is let me share a screen. So this is the job I did yesterday or Thursday, right? Just a laundromat, pretty straightforward. Nothing nothing special. You know, you do the four corners, you get a close up of some of the machinery and some of the features like vending machines and the bill changer. Couple exterior shots, right? The parking lot. And I had a couple other shots that aren't here. Pretty straightforward. Oh, can you guys you guys can't see that. Sorry. I thought I shared it. Hold on. So yeah, here's the job. You know, so uh how come the pictures are not changing for you? All you can see is one shot. Is it frozen? It is frozen. Sorry guys, I thought I could show you those, but I guess not. Anyway, what I can do is go to 2021. I think in 2021 I had some, that's when I was really bad at flaring and stuff, was just a couple years ago. Let's see, where's that? Let me try, well, I'll just highlight everything. So if I highlight all of these, and all I have to do is select this lens. 7 to 14. Where is it? Panasonic. Lumix. 7 to 14 f4. Okay, so let's see, rejected images. I doubt oh, here's, okay, yeah, I got one rejected image left. So let me show you this one. This one was from, oh, I don't see the date. But yeah, this purple flaring right here. I mean, I could not deliver this image. And it was very difficult to fix in post-processing. Now this here would be easy to fix, right? This one was very hard to fix. This one and this one. Anyway, I ended up not delivering this image. And there's a couple of spots here. There's one spot here. Oops. Yeah, this there's a spot here, a spot here, a spot here, and a spot here, and then of course up here. This is just one example. Let's see. How about not anything else? These are images I didn't deliver to the client. See, like, look at this, right? See this giant umbrella? The flaring was, oh, you guys can't see this. Why do I have to close and reopen this window? Share the entire screen. Nope. Share this one. Let me try this. All right, that's a little better. But yeah, you see, I brought an umbrella with me to put over the camera and the lens to try to minimize this flaring, because what I'm going to do, right, is I'm just going to crop this. I'm just going to crop this image. I could crop it down to about here, crop it up this way. And then this part up here is easy to cut out just through sky replacement, right? But that's what I had to do sometimes. Is there an image in here with the flare? No, I think I was smart enough to use, yeah, so I did a sky replacement like this, right? On this image. But I used this umbrella. You can see a little bit of it in here. I used an umbrella to block the flaring. Yeah, so here's another one, right? See this flaring? Yeah, this is hard to fix in post, you know. So I used this umbrella to block it. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. This is not like a small flare. You know, this is a problem. This flare over here is more cinematic. That I could live with, but not this. This flare, this purple flaring is just unacceptable. I mean, but you guys get the idea, right? That is unacceptable. Okay. Uh Smug Mug. Oh, Lauren is talking. So when you accept a job, is there a contract that you get your client to sign? Is the contract maybe considered including a statement? No. I have a good rapport with everyone, and if it's somebody new, then their referral, and I developed a rapport very quickly with them, because it's not like they found me through an ad online or something, right? So I don't have to sell them. Uh, and I don't do contracts. You know, if they I deliver the images and they pay me. You know, if they don't pay me, then, you know, uh, I never do business with them again. You know, it's their loss, in my opinion. It's never happened. I've always been paid for a job, even if they didn't use the images, right? I mean, I had a job last year. I charged them $1,500. They never used the images because they sold the property before I delivered them. I delivered the images like in 4 days. It was a big job. It took me a while to put it all together. And by the time I delivered the images, they said, "Thanks, we already sold the property." I was like, "Okay," but they paid me anyway. But anyway, yeah. So no, there's no contract. Um, Probably not a don't probably not good at business advice, but I most of the people that I deal with, I'm very comfortable with and have good rapport. Um, and they already know the work that I do. And if it's a new client, I tell them to just check out my other clients' websites, and you can see the work that I do. And let's see. So they know the quality they're gonna get. It's just a matter of a lot of people aren't willing to pay because they don't, it's honestly, they don't, they don't people most people don't see much difference, right? They'll look at one image maybe somebody took with their iPhone, then they'll look at an image that I took, and they're like, "Yeah, yours is nicer, but is it like 10 times the price nicer?" You know what I mean? I don't know. It's tough out there in doing architectural photography, at least at this level. The level that I'm at, where I'm going for the kind of the low end properties and um, because there's certainly many high end commercial photographers or particularly residential, high end residential photographers that seem to be doing very well. And they charge for it, but they've developed that rapport with their clients and they do much higher end work. I mean, they are there all day long, right? They get there early in the morning or they scout the place to find out when is the light the best to do the twilight shot, to do the sunrise or they spend a lot of time for these high end commercial properties and they might charge like five to $10,000. But the kind of jobs I do, one and done, you go in there for an hour, you get out and you deliver your images the next day. That level of photography jobs is very, very competitive. Um, and it's just where I'm at. I haven't really tried to go for the very high end commercial, or I'm sorry, high end residential properties. It's just, honestly, it's a lot of work and it's a little above my skill set, and I don't have the contacts and relationship to do that uh, right now. But because everything takes time to build, I'd have to build that up, and I'm not that interested in doing it. Look up the Z mount 50 millimeter lens, sharp. It's not inexpensive, Lauren. The 51.8 is like $600. Uh, yeah, the Z5 has a tilt-only monitor. That didn't bother me for my work. And two card slots, that's always a bonus. There was something else about the Z5 that just was a deal breaker, though. I can't remember what it was. The camera and lens has to match what you shoot. If you shoot street, then match that to one. The GX9 new was a bargain. Used must be going up. Get the Z5. I know, right? I could get a Z5 for about the same price as a GX9. And I would argue the well, I would argue the Z5 may be a better camera than the GX9, but I wouldn't, but I'd probably use the GX9 professionally and not the Z5. It had to do with something with the bracketing or something. I can't remember what it was. There was something about it. Yeah, brand new, the Z5 is 996, but you can get them used for $700 or less than that, like $700 all day long. Ooh, that flare is awful, right? Yeah, I know, right? um, yeah, that's some strong. So now you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When I said that lens has some flaring, I've managed it. Like in that shot, you can see I used an umbrella to manage the flare, and then I had to go into post-processing and do sky replacement and stuff. Because sometimes you get to a site, like if I'm doing two or three, well, I've never done three. I have done three jobs in one day, but it's not unusual for me for like one broker to have two properties the same day. So I said, I can do both tomorrow. So what time I get there is sometimes random. It's not always ideal. And this was one of those times where it was not ideal. Um, I've never used the 8-18, but I've heard very good things about that lens. But that's another expensive lens, right? I mean, if I were doing a lot more commercial properties, I mean, if I had a couple of jobs a week, I don't, I'm lucky to get a couple of jobs a month, okay? Because I don't take it that seriously. I take each job very seriously, but as a business, I don't take it that seriously. Like I'm not actively pursuing new business. Uh, but anyway, if I were doing if I were more active in the business, actively pursuing new business, I would definitely replace this 7 to 14 lens because it would be a problem if I was doing 2, 3 jobs a week. And in that scenario, that lens would have been gone a long time ago. But when I'm only doing a couple of jobs a month, and like I said, it's going to ramp up here in the summer probably, but usually during the winter, late fall and winter, there's hardly any work for me. And I'm happy because it's so freaking cold anyway. I don't want to get out there because a lot of these buildings are empty and the heat's not on. It's freaking cold, man. Uh, but in any case, uh, yeah, if I were doing more jobs, I would probably get the Olympus 8 to 25 f4. That's the perfect wide angle, but it also zooms into 25, which is kind of a normal focal length. I rarely need to zoom in when I'm doing commercial properties. Because usually you just need the wide shots. But hello from New York City, Poncho or Puco Web Solutions. How do you negotiate your rates with the decision makers? Oh, there's not much to negotiate. I just tell them how much it is, and they pay it or they don't. Uh, Now, if it's a property that I'm not familiar, like, because the ones that I've worked with for a while, they know me. I'll look at the property, and they'll tell me, Rob, this is so and so square feet. We need this, that, and the other thing. And I said, okay, let me look at it, and I'll talk to them about the property. And I'll just, and there's not that much differences when it comes to commercial properties. Number one is they're usually vacant, right? So you're just doing four corners or two corners of a room. You don't need to get multiple different angles of the same room to see different angles of furniture and layout and things, right? So number one, is the property vacant or not? If it's not vacant, then timing is an issue because we have to go there when the business is closed and there aren't people in the office. And then and then if it is not vacant, then definitely there's furniture and things, right? Uh, but even if the place is fully furnished and decked out, most of the time it doesn't matter that I get very, very accurate colors and represent the property extremely accurately because whoever's buying the property is going to gut the thing out anyway and refit it with their own furniture and design and style, right? So retail businesses doesn't matter at all what color the walls are, stuff like that. And most offices, it doesn't matter what's in there now, furniture, cubicles, they throw all that out. It's disgusting. If I had an office, I will never buy furniture. I will just go to the dumpsters around all these buildings and pick up cubicles and furniture. Anyway, um, if you look around my house, most I would say 2/3 of the furniture in my house is from an office that closed down. Like, this shelving behind me, that's from an office that closed. They never even took it out of the box. It was still wrapped, shrink wrapped. This I got 2 of these shelves behind me. They're just laying on the floor. Vacant office. They abandoned everything. They said, "Rob, take whatever you want out of that office." They had like a $10,000 copy machine, full color, fully operational. They said, "Yeah, you can have it if you want it." I was like, I can't carry the you know how much a copier machine weighs? I couldn't get that in my truck, but I was able to get these shelves, right? And, this chair I'm sitting in is from an office. These drawers and I got shelving downstairs. Uh, yeah, a lot of stuff in my house here is from offices that closed down. These desks that I'm using here in my space, for my YouTube studio, these desks are all from an office that closed down. They're really nice too. I mean, there was this one office, they had some really nice Ethan Allen, I mean, old school Ethan Allen, not the crap they sell now. Old school Ethan Allen furniture, and it was just too heavy. I could not carry it. I was tempted to get a couple of guys, hire a couple of guys, rent a U-Haul, take it and bring it to my house, but I was like, "What am I gonna do? It's too much work." Um, Now I can't remember why I got onto this subject, but the purple flaring is a nuisance for architectural work, but can be good artistically. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Rob from Brittany, France. Do you have an OM5 best settings for beginner video? I do not, but you can watch the EM5 Mark III best settings. It's pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. The only thing the OM5 adds is uh, uh, custom buttons. You can program button functions and stuff to the buttons, and a couple other small things. So there will be some differences, but yeah, you can watch the M5 Mark III best settings. I don't have an OM5, so I can't do a video on it. Uh, but yeah, that purple flaring, right, on that lens is insane. And Tribute says, thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Um, what else did I want to show you? Or can I show you that makes sense today? What time is it? Man, is it 2:43? How long have I been doing this stream? Oh, wait, I didn't start till 1 o'clock. It's still a long time, right? I've been doing this for a while, but um, that image I showed you with the purple flaring, what is the date of that? I think this is very early on. This was dated 2018. So in 2018, this is very early on in my commercial because I started really around 2016 doing commercial properties. Um, and I didn't do that many, obviously. I was still 2 years in and I hadn't done I did maybe a dozen properties in 2 years because I was doing a day job. So this was like a weekend hustle back then, I believe. I can't remember. 2018 feels like forever ago. But yeah, in 2018, I was really bad at managing the flare off that lens, but now I'm pretty good at it. Uh, I just adjust the camera a little bit. If I see the flare, I adjust the camera a little bit. What's annoying is if I didn't see the flare while I was on site, then I get home and I'm like, "Oh, F," you know? Can't believe it, I can't deliver. This is a good shot except for that, now I can't use it. Okay. Oops. Why does it say stop sharing? Oh, you know what? I can do screen, share the entire screen, this one, and then do hide. Oh, I can bring it in and out anytime like this. Oh, that's cool. Whoops. It got quiet on the stream here. Hi, can we come around tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. You guys are awful quiet. I don't see much action going on in the chat. Am I still live? Um, so I think I've kind of said and done everything so far or responded. Maybe we'll call it if nobody has any other questions. or have anything they want to talk about. Looks good. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I will be back again next week, and God willing, I'll have all my test results in, and everything is perfectly fine, which I strongly suspect it will be. So, you guys, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I will see you again soon.